Looking at that reluctant face, you guys should know this is a legit
story
series.
goes like this.
Legend says there are monsters in this world that can cure any illness. And as luck would have it, the current king, because of his dragon energy, always feels burning hot all over, which makes him seem kind of neurotic. And sometimes when he loses it, he just beheads a couple ministers. So people see him as a tyrant. To solve this problem, the priest sent people to search for monsters. Monsters are said to take many different forms, but most are beautiful on the outside, which is why people say this young guy in patched clothes is our main character. His name is Lai Hen. Born with different colored eyes, the villagers call him cursed, so the village kids always bully him. But this mute fool caught someone's attention. An old man in the village heard someone was looking for monsters, so he sold him out. And watching Li Hen get knocked down, the old guy immediately demands his money. See, I was right. He really has different colored eyes, he's a monster. Sir, about that money. But before he could finish, he got run through. Obviously a double cross. And just like that, Li Hen was taken to the palace. The current king is named Zhu Xiyan. Though he was the third prince, he has a dragon's body, with dragon scales on his back. When it flares up, it feels like burning. As he gets older, the symptoms get worse. 3 years into his reign, he built the current Yuan Empire with an iron fist, which has a lot to do with his temper. People call him the tyrant. That day, the priest came to him, saying he found a way to suppress the heat inside him. But when he heard the word monster, Zhu Xiyan was stunned, though he quickly accepted it. Even someone like me with dragon power exists, so why wouldn't there be monsters? But what does this have to do with me? The scene shifts to Li Hen being bathed by servants and forced to wear nice clothes. The clothes look too proper. Li Hen, who's never worn nice clothes, actually cried from happiness. To keep his eyes from looking too swollen, the servants put a veil over his eyes. And just like that, he was placed on the royal bed. Right now, Li Hen is shaking like a leaf. Innocent as he is, he has no idea what's coming next. With heavy footsteps approaching, the main feature is about to begin slur. Zhu Xiyan stood before Li Hen, looking him over carefully. He thinks, wait a minute, they said he's a monster, but he looks completely human. Thinking this, he lifts Li Hen's chin with his hand. The coolness at his fingertips surprises him. Turns out Li Hen's body temperature is naturally very low. During this, Li Hen's veil fell off. Looking at the handsome face before him, Li Hen panicked and fell. And Zhu Xiyan leaned over him, looking at those different colored eyes with fascination. Isn't this exactly the kind of beauty that bewitches people? He doesn't know Li Hen's name, so he just calls him Monster. Monster, can you really take away this burning heat from me? Without waiting for Li Hen to answer, he sealed those tempting lips. In the heat of passion, Li Hen accidentally touched the reverse scale on his back. But feeling the person beneath him trembling on the shoulder, Zhu Xiyan didn't fly into a rage. Instead, he said playfully, looks like even monsters aren't immune. Then his eyes lit up like star. I'll skip 8,000 words here. Use your imagination, folks. Slurp. Just because a man was born with different colored eyes, the king dragged him to the palace. They went at it all night long. Talk about intense. After their passionate night, the king's 27 years of burning heat was gone. He glanced at the sleeping person, then got dressed and left, leaving Li Hen sleeping alone on the bed. Li Hen's mother was actually a merchant's only daughter, who fell in love with a wanderer. When she found out she was pregnant, the wanderer had already left. Eventually, the woman left the village where he lived, and started a life on the run. Later, when Li Hen was born with horns on his head, she realized the wanderer wasn't human but a monster. Learning the truth, when Li Hen was young, the woman found a sorcerer who used magic to suppress Li Hen's power, which also sealed Li Hen's mind, making him somewhat simple, and he lost the ability to speak. But the monster power wasn't completely suppressed. Every full moon, the monster power returns. The next morning, Li Hen opened his eyes. He trembled as he got out of bed and looked around, but the discomfort in his body couldn't support him at all. Meanwhile, the king, who pulled his pants up and ran, is feeling great. He said to the priest, the dragon energy that's been bothering me is finally suppressed. So this is what it feels like to be normal. But what's his name? I can't just keep calling him monster. And he seems unable to speak. There are words carved on his tongue. The priest was stunned. You mean on his tongue? I'll go check again right away. I'll find out soon. Hearing this, Zhu Xiyan thought of Li Hen's sleeping face. He'd be cute if he could talk too. Wait, he should be fine if he can talk. Just then the guard came to report. Zhu Xiyan's eyes went wide at the news. Soon after, he arrived at the bedchamber. Why is this happening? The servant answered as the doctor said. It's caused by dragon energy. Hearing this, Zhu Xiyan ordered servants to prepare a medicinal bath and personally carry Li Hen into the pool. As the cool medicinal water covered his whole body, the heat in Li Hen's body quickly faded. The Zhu Xiyan stared blankly at the body in his arms. He didn't need to do this himself. He normally hates touching other people's warmth, but now he's obsessed with this body. So strange. Thinking this, he lowered his head and kissed those soft lips again. Just because a man has different colored eyes, the king grabbed him to use as medicine. The daily passion made the innocent him completely lose himself. You want to know how Li Hen feels? He can only say it's a bit tingly, wipes his mouth. In the morning, the king called the priest to ask, this monster's purpose is to transfer the burning dragon energy from me to himself, right? The priest answered honestly, exactly. He's just a vessel for your highness to store dragon energy. Such cold and heartless words made Zhu Xiyan very irritated. After the priest left, he fell into thought. Is he really just a vessel? To prove his theory, he eagerly went to find Li Hen again. Looking at Li Hen's innocent eyes, Zhu Xiyan didn't know what to say. This made Li Hen a bit scared. Luckily, his stomach growled twice, breaking the tension. Seeing the cutie blushing, Zhu Xiyan couldn't help but laugh. Someone, bring some simple food. A moment later, looking at the table full of delicacies, Li Hen was completely stunned. He glanced at the man beside him, then tried to copy him. but having eaten with his hands since childhood, he has no idea how to use chopsticks. After several failed attempts, the man finally started feeding him. Looking at the meat and rice before him, Li Hen's eyes welled up with tears. Closing his eyes and chewing desperately, his face full of happiness. Watching the cutie holding his cheeks, Zhu Xiyan's eyes showed a different light. Something in the corner of his heart sprouted. This was the first time in his life he felt emotion. He reached out and stroked Li Hen's hair. But Li Hen reacted startlingly like a star. This hurt Zhu Xiyan a bit, but he still gently touched Li Hen's hair. Your hair is getting long, and open your eyes when you eat. You need to chew slowly to taste better food. 亲切的人 looking at the gentleman. Even simple Li Hen knows he's kind and gentle. So he scooped up some rice and offered it to him. And just like that, spoonful by spoonful, we're being fed dog food too. The whole screen reeks of romance. After the meal, Zhu Xiyan got dressed and left. Watching that tall, upright figure, Li Hen couldn't help but sigh. He really can't adapt to all these sudden changes. And this kind man is just too bright for him. That day in court, the atmosphere was chaotic because the usually neurotic king was actually neatly dressed today, looking relaxed. Nothing like the king who beheads 2 ministers for fun. He has a dragon's body, but daydreams in court every day. Because there's a monster in his palace that has his heart. Thinking of those different colored eyes and hair color, he couldn't help but smile. And right now that monster is also debuting. His thoughts are complicated, though everyone here is kind and won't throw stones at him. Is this strange man? When that solid, heavy body enters him, he can't even think straight. There's a feeling of being drowned in heat. How to put it? It's a tingly feeling that's actually comfortable. It really makes him both scared and longing. But still, no matter how beautiful this place is, it's not where I belong. Thinking of his mother in that thatched hut, Li Hen's eyes filled with tears. I can definitely go back. Telling himself this, he wiped his eyes, but then his expression changed. His body felt controlled by something. He got up and walked away. When Zhu Xiyan got the news, he dropped everything and ran to the palace. Then deployed massive manpower to search everywhere. In Zhu Xiyan's words, does he think people don't know he's a monster who can turn invisible or what? Right now, Li Hen is crouched in some corner, looking small, pitiful, and helpless. He doesn't know why this happens. He often gets mentally fuzzy. And when he wakes up, he's in some strange place. Thinking this, loneliness and fear hit him. Tears welled up again. Because usually at times like this, people would tease and beat him. Those memories are too painful. But thinking of Zhu Xiyan, he feels that gentle person wouldn't do that. Then he shook his head hard. That dazzling sun and everything here doesn't belong to him. He shouldn't get his hopes up. But then a voice above said found him. Zhu Xiyan stood in front of him. Why are you in a place like this? But Li Hen can't speak, only opening and closing his mouth. Zhu Xiyan thought Li Hen wanted a hug, so he suddenly scooped him up princess style. Which shocked Li Hen, but this embrace is really warm. As they say, talking back to your crush feels good once, keeps feeling good every time. The story goes like this. Picking up from before, the king carried the lost Li Hen back to the palace, and cut the bangs that covered his different colored eyes. But why does he give off such a silly country girl vibe? But beauty is in the eye of the beholder. As long as the king looks good, that's all that matters. While Li Hen was puzzled why this man dared to look directly into his eyes, an old hag came over and shoved a test swab right into his mouth. The priest looked at the words on Li Hen's tongue in silence, then called the king out. Simple Li Hen kept his mouth open. The king looked back helplessly and closed his mouth before leaving. But that scene was way too cute. On the other side, the priest told the king about the spell on Li Hen's tongue. It's a spell to silence people, usually used on assassins. But the king didn't care. After all, Li Hen doesn't seem that bright. Hard to connect him with bad guys. Sure enough, the priest gave another theory. This could be a spell to harm monsters. But the king turned and went back to Li Hen. Right now, Li Hen was practicing writing. Adorable Li Hen can now write his own name. Seeing this, the king affectionately pinched his cheek. Then picked up the brush and wrote his own name, Zhu Xiyan. After pointing to himself, he wrote Li Xin, saying this is Li Hen written in simplified character. From now on, he'll call him that. Hearing this, Li Hen's heart pounded. From now on, he'll be called Li Xin. If only he could hug him like that time. Suddenly, the king felt unwell, got up and walked out, leaving Li Xin confused. But he doesn't know that right now the king's heart is racing, and he's burning up. Tonight's bedding is inevitable. Soon night fell, and freshly bathed Li Xin is happily playing on the bed. Because of the smooth, soft bed, and the new words he learned today.